Hello, my name is Elijah Wells, and today's review is Yorgos Lanthimos' new movie, Kinds of Kindness. Kinds of Kindness is an anthology movie that follows around three different storylines that are loosely connected by three distinctive storylines. As first one involves around a man who takes control of his own life after being fired by his extremely controlling boss. The second one involves around a police officer who finally finds his wife who goes missing from an island for a very long time, but only to find out some things about his wife are very different, and becomes very suspicious, and also develops some very disturbing personality traits along the way. And the final one is about a wellness cult ran by a sex guru, and has a woman to look around to find a woman that can bring the people back from the dead. Yorgos Lanthimos is basically one of the biggest directors to come out from the past decade, not just with his massively underrated films like Lobster and the more dark and more morbid films like Darktooth, and as well as Killing of a Sacred Deer, but really came to his own with period dramas like The Favourite and the period dark comedy Poor Things, but the latter two films seem to be very rapturous in our acclaim and won plenty of awards, and also 2 Oscars for Best Actresses for Olivia Colman for The Favourite and Emma Stone for Poor Things. Of course, after the rapturous acclaim of these films, a lot of anticipation was pretty much high for Kinds of Kindness, which was only released only a few months after Poor Things, as it was only released in much of the world and in the UK before or after Christmas, or last Christmas. So it was, and also added to the fact that Yorgos did shot the movie during the post-production of Poor Things, as according to his words, post-production for Poor Things was allegedly taking much longer than he previously anticipated. So, with a new movie already from Yorgos Lanthimos, and we'll just see how it turns out. Given the film's very abstract nature and how it goes down the anthological route and how dark the comedy is, particularly, I just had no idea how to make this video for a long time. Even though I've watched it already 2 days ago already, it just became a case of how am I going to make a video out of this. It isn't awful by any chance, but it's just a case of, it's definitely a brilliant movie, but how do I talk about it? It's not just a case of giving it away or anything, it's just such an abstract movie that it kind of messes with my brain a little bit, and some areas of the comedy and some of the commentary as well. It does go into some absurd territory, not in a bad way, but definitely in a way that it does, you need to apply your own logic of thinking of how you want to approach these things. Like, it's not exactly a movie for everyone, not a film you would just say to turn off your brain to. Well, it's definitely one of those films that you're going to have to give a lot of meditative thought into for making any concrete critique about, or any concrete praise about, let alone that. The writing of the movie, particularly how it does play into the strengths of Yorgos Lanthimos, of how he deals with like more morbid topic matters, and how he delivers it in more of a deadpan, very dry, yet extremely dark sense of humour. Again, this worked incredibly well to his favour as well, in my opinion, as well as his direction and how he essentially composes the entire movie almost like a Stanley Kubrick movie, as a lot of the shots are done symmetrically, again like a Stanley Kubrick movie. And the movie, cinematography-wise, is also extremely gorgeous, and even though the mise-en-scène of the movie and the movie's core is definitely way more modern, essentially set in the modern day, of course, than, let's say, Poor Things or The Favourite, as in this is his first modern day movie he released since Killing of a Sacred Deer. So, again, how he went back to the more familiar territory of his other works is also really good. And also the performances of Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, and Willem Dafoe, who play 3 separate characters in different settings. Like, for example, Emma Stone plays the employer of Raymond in the first story. Then the second one, he plays the wife of Daniel, who disappeared for a very long time. And the third one, he plays a cult member who finds a woman who can revive the dead. As in, it's more on the vein of Cloud Atlas, where it has where it has actors play different characters, or something like multi-hyphen or meaning of life, as in have an actor or an actress and play like separate roles, and more of an anthological reason as juxtaposition of like a more linear narrative, which again is very intriguing, and how he dances around that logic is also really good. And also, Jesse Plemons, who won the Best Actor at the Cannes Film Festival, and also did a brief yet really terrifying performance in Civil War. He definitely deserved that Cannes Best Actor award, as he plays, again, a man who tries to please his boss way too much, or a police officer who gets paranoid about his missing wife, and a cult member who's paired with Emma Stone's character in the third story. And of course, Willem Dafoe plays, in my opinion, the more wackier characters, in my opinion, like Liz's father in the second story, and the third one he plays a sex guru in a cult. Then the first one he plays basically a manager who controls Jesse Plemons' life at every known aspect of any time. Like, okay, what time do you wake up? What time do you have sex? What time do you drink? What did you drink? And what do you eat? And what time did you eat? Like, being a complete nutcase of obsession, which is again really terrifying, but considering it's Yorgos and how really dry and deadpan his humor is, it's also really great. Again, the humor of Yorgos Lanthimos may be a little bit hard to stomach for some people, but also the film's imagery as well may be, in my opinion, a little more harder to stomach than its humor this time around. Like, I don't want to give way too much away about what happens. There's also a lot of like really brutal car accidents, particularly in the first story that happens inside of a car park of a hospital. Second one involves around a subplot about the really disturbing habits that the husband picked up while his wife disappeared. And what to say, they get really disturbing, like really quickly, what his habits were. And of course, there's the final story about the cult member, particularly about the inner workings of a wellness cult, and how it's run by a sex guru played by Willem Dafoe, and how, again, cults are essentially a little bit disturbing, and also Emma Stone's somehow willingness to just go along with it, as in Emma Stone spends some part of that story looking around the city to find a stray dog, so she can slash the dog's limbs, send it to the vet, and it's like, oh, okay, we'll stitch it up. Okay, thank you, he's alright now. Then abandon the dog. So as a ploy to kidnap the vet, as she becomes suspicious that the vet can revive the dead. And of course, that turned out to go very horribly wrong. Again, in the movie's imagery, particularly in the more gnarly and a bit more nastier areas, in my opinion, maybe a tad overbearing at one or two instances, but again, it's Yorgos, like, he does push the envelope quite a bit. And a lot of people have weirdly pointed out the film's runtime. Like, okay, the movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes, okay, like, I totally understand it, but at the same time, I think it's a tricky balance when you try to do anthology films and try have a really concise runtime about it. Like, of course, there's more Robert Altman-esque movies like Nashville, which go on for like 2.5 hours or 3 hours. There's also like Pulp Fiction, which goes on for 2.5 hours, which goes in the more Robert Altman direction. But there's more anthology films like, let's say, 1191 or Meaning of Life, which goes on for like 2 hours or just about then, or something like Cloud Atlas, again with the concept I just brought up earlier, with an actor or an actress playing multiple characters of different timelines, and it goes on for nearly 3 hours long, similar to this movie. Again, I don't think the movie feels that long either, even though, yes, I can totally understand where they were getting at, of like, maybe going a little bit too long on one or two scenes in their specific films, in their specific stories, but I feel like it, the pacing wise and the runtime, in my opinion, is justifiable, in my opinion. For Kinds of Kindness, Yorgos Lanthimos moves away from the more period dramas and period dark comedies, which he's more recently known for like Poor Things and Favourite, and returns to more earlier films like Lobster, Darktooth, and Killing of a Sacred Deer, as in the more darker, the more nastier stuff, and as well as still retaining his darkly comedic style in his writing and his direction. And the movie's composition is also beautiful in terms of its mise-en-scène and its cinematography. The weird and wacky characters that all the brilliant people like Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, and Willem Dafoe play are really strange and really creepy at best, and also have some of that charm that definitely shine bright through that's made unique by Yorgos Lanthimos, and and also the stories feel very distinctive and very unique to themselves, and also they do intertwine very intermittently, in my opinion, as well. And the movie, although definitely not for everyone, considering some of the more gorier stuff that goes down in this movie and how you would approach each scene with your own logic, and of course dealing with Yorgos' typically dark sense of humour, the movie's not exactly for everyone, but it's definitely a movie that definitely a very strong contender for Yorgos' already impressive filmography. So I'm feeling an 8 out of 10. So, what do you think of Kinds of Kindness by Yorgos Lanthimos? Let me know in the comments below. Like my channel, subscribe to my channel, of course, and follow me on Letterboxd and Twitter and Instagram. This is Rolls, and bye.